Winner, winner! That's how we do it, gang. Now, you may not know this, but tucking your elbows when you bench press could be stopping you from hitting your next PR. Now, you may have heard that cue before, tuck your elbows. That's bullshit, it's a myth. You shouldn't be doing it. Now, in today's video, I'm gonna be showing you 5 big bench press myths. We're gonna be busting them. That's a hard word to say, by the way, myths. But we got there in the end. Anyway, we're gonna be busting 5 big ones, if you know what I mean, starting with tuck your elbows. No, you shouldn't tuck your elbows when you bench press. Let me explain why. If we are thinking of the bench press as a complete package, we need to be really focusing on shoulder blade retraction and depression, meaning, and you've probably heard me talk about this before, pulling the shoulder blades back and down, okay? And when we're bench pressing, when we're bringing the barbell down to our chest, we should be reaching for the barbell with our chest, pulling our chest to the bar, flaring our rib cage. Now, if you are doing these things correctly, you shouldn't have to worry about your elbow position, okay? Tucking the elbows is an overused cue, and what it's gonna do for most people is take them out of position. If you pull your elbows in close to your rib cage while you're bench pressing, it's taking or transferring the weight off the pectorals, putting it all on the triceps and the front delt. And that is not optimal for a big bench press. We want to use the chest as well. So in saying that, we don't want to flare our elbows either. Okay, so when we're bench pressing, if we get our scapular retraction and depression, pull our chest to the bar and bring the barbell down, our elbows theoretically should be in the right position. But I will say this, some people do have an issue with flaring their elbows too much when they bench. Okay, now the cue, tuck your elbows, may be applicable for that person, maybe. All right, only if it brings them back to the normal position. Okay, we don't want them to go from here to here with the elbows. All right, we need to exercise a level of common sense, but the best position for the elbows is so that when you bring the barbell down, that the barbell is stacked directly over the wrist joint and the elbow joint. Okay, so for my first set, 60 kilograms, by the way, I'm training, it's bench press day, and we've got sets and reps with 150 to 160 kilos today, so a bit of volume, but for this first set, come around the side, I want you to see the position of the barbell in relativity to my elbow as I'm bringing the barbell down to my chest. Okay, so you can see the position of my elbow, how you can see it's not flared, and I'll actually give you an example of what what tucked and flared looks like. All right, setting up as normal. All right, so my shoulder blades are pulled back and down. I'm gonna pull my chest to the bar. Okay, my elbow position here, this is the perfect position for me to press. Boom. Now, if I tuck my elbows, a lot of pressure on the front of the shoulder. The barbell is behind my elbow, so it's not stacked over the wrist joint and the elbow, okay? Very uncomfortable on the front of the shoulder. Now, if we flare, again like this, a lot of pressure on the front of the shoulder and the pec, okay? Now, the reason those things happened was because I wasn't retracting and depressing my shoulder blades. So pull them back and down, pull your chest to the bar, and touch at the highest point. So there you can see an example of why it's important to focus more so on the scapular position, because that will dictate the elbow position. If we focus too much just on what this is doing, that would just suggest that if you can move around like this, there is no scapular retraction and depression, right? Because this is also shoulder joint movement, and that's what this does. It locks it in and it gives you stability. So, you know, don't listen to the people that say just tuck your elbows for the sake of it. Sure, to bench like this, maybe you need to listen a little bit and think about this, all right? But it doesn't come from the elbow so much. It does come from the shoulder blades with the retraction and the depression. But that's myth 1. Hope you liked it. Moving on. All right, gang, myth number 2. You should bench press with straight wrists. That's a myth. Now, before I do start this one, why should you listen to me? I say it all the time, gang. I've bench pressed 260 kilograms. I've totaled 1,050 kilograms in competition, over 2,300 pounds, and I've been coaching for over a decade. So, I know my shit. Now, with the wrist and the bench press, why don't we want it straight? Now, this may seem obvious to some people, but I'll be honest with you, when I started my powerlifting journey, that was a cue that I was given. And that was a cue that I would sometimes try and help other people with, and boy was I wrong. I've been wrong many times before, and I can admit that. Now, to bench press like this is very impractical. They say bench press the way you would punch someone, but we're not punching someone, we're bench pressing. So that makes no sense, and I should have known that back then. I considered myself a smart guy. Obviously not. I think I'm pretty smart now. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, you don't bench press with a straight wrist because the barbell will absolutely fall out of your hand. Okay? What we want to do, gang, what we want to do is cock our wrist back. I've spoken about the bulldog grip before. I'm not going to go into too much detail about the specifics of bulldog grip. If you want to see that, go to my very last upload. I did a full bench press tutorial and I speak about the bulldog grip specifically for like 6 minutes. So you can go and watch it there. But point being, we can't bench press like we punch because we're not punching someone. So if you like this, barbell falls out. We need hand cocked back so the barbell has a platform to sit on here, right? So the barbell is still in line again with the wrist joint and the elbow joint. It's stacked on that bone, right? Sitting on the bony structure on your palm. Okay, then we have our fingers and our thumbs wrapped around it to secure it. Okay, so it's not gonna roll out. If we're like this, literally it has no platform to sit on, so it's just kind of sitting in your thumb. And how much weight can your thumb hold? You know, maybe 60 kilos, maybe 100 kilos. 4 plates, 5 plates? I don't think so, sir. You know what I'm saying? So again, we want to cock our wrist back a little bit. And that's why we wear wrist wraps as well, right? Because when we wear a wrist wrap, where are mine? They're over there. I'm not going to put it on right now, right? But they're built to support the wrist. Okay, we pack this in here with a wrap. We give it some support so that when it's pushed back, it's nice and supported under a heavy load. But this isn't really a heavy load for me. I don't mean to brag, but 2 plates, come on, forget about it. You know what I'm saying though? But watch my wrist position on this one. All right, pay attention to how my wrist is indeed cocked back. Okay, but I wouldn't punch somebody like this, right? You might. Don't know about that, but that's how I bench press. Okay, and just because my wrist isn't straight doesn't mean I'm not. Hey, that should go on a shirt. 100 kilos, 2 plates. I'll go 5 repetitions. Yes, we will. Alrighty. Setting it up. So again, every single set, I do the same thing, right? I create a habit, so I always swing back to the same point. I set my feet first, I set my hands, and then I swing under the bar, shove my shoulder blades back and down to the bench, and I start. Oh yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. It ain't easy being sleazy and sexy like that, but that's another myth busted, right? Don't bench like this. Bench like this. Yeah, I'm gonna do another myth next. Like this video, drop a comment, and subscribe to your mum's favorite channel on YouTube, Cult Strength. All right, baby. Myth number 3. You need to have a big arch for a big bench press. That's false. It's bullshit. Now it helps. Yeah, it can help some people for sure, right? You've seen Obviously, some lifters take in the piss with the big arch, and some of them have a big bench press, some of them don't. Now, why do they have a big arch? Why are they doing these big fucking harbour bridges, right? Well, obviously, they're trying to minimize the range of motion. It's efficient. Now, you can't argue against the fact that they're very efficient bench presses, but you don't need a big arch for a big bench press. May I remind you, Mr. Julius Maddox, the biggest bench presser of all time, I'll put the video up if I can find it, 355 kilograms, I believe. That man does not have an arch. That's just strong, baby. Now, he does have scapular retraction and depression, right? But he's just not a hypermobile guy, so you can't see it, all right? The arch is coming from the thoracic spine, not the lumbar, which is where your focus should be, and that's what the point of this myth is. It's not about how much of a big arch you can get on the bench, right? I don't care if you can stick a leg underneath somebody's arch or your entire body, whatever, right? Your focus needs to be, we come back to the same point, scapular retraction and depression. Okay, now that is paired with thoracic extension, right? They happen together. That depression of the scapula is thoracic extension, which is your thoracic spine going into extension, which creates that, right? Now, obviously, you can continue that into the lumbar spine, to your lower back, but that's when we start talking about back pain, and yes, it can become damaging for the back. But having an arch or, you know, retracted and depressed upper back and extended thoracic spine, that's actually going to be just fine for your lower back, and it's much needed to prevent injury with the bench press, because all of that, you know, creates a stability in the shoulder joint, which I've spoken about before. If you don't have stability, you don't have power, okay? You need stability for that strength, baby, to be able to exert that force. And all these things, as you can see, they kind of play into each other, right? And it's not really that complicated. If you focus on a few things, you generally nail it all. But people like to throw a bunch of shit at you to confuse you, because they're trying to sell you something. But they didn't reinvent the wheel. They just turned the wheel into some fucking weird shaped thing that doesn't work anymore. You know what I mean? It's not that hard. So when it comes to getting an arch, don't focus on the harbour bridge shit, that hurt. Oh, right? Focus on the thoracic spine, you know, working on getting some extension through the thoracic spine for sure. You can definitely work on your mobility with that. But again, as you can see, the strongest bench presser of all time didn't have an arch. So, do you need an arch for a big bench press? No, you don't. Ultimately, you need to be really strong. Being big helps, and great genetics helps. And before anyone jumps in and says steroids help, of course they do. But they don't help as much as you think. Genetics, technique, having a good program, eating the right food, all of those things are more important. Steroids can be utilized as a tool to help you, but if you're a tool, then they won't help you. I feel quite full of wisdom today. What do you reckon, love? Pretty smart guy. Anyway, my plan for the session, my last warm-up, 140 kilos, 3 plates. Then I'm going to move on to sets and reps at 150 kilos. I think 2 or 3 sets, 2 sets of 8, and maybe a bit of almost an AMRAP, so a few extra reps on the final set if I feel really strong. But if you come around this way, so you can see, I'm not a super mobile guy. I'm not super stiff, just sometimes, if you know what I mean. But generally, I don't have a huge arch, but you'll see that I'm trying to generate the arch from the thoracic spine, okay? From the shoulder blade retraction depression, not so much from the lower back. I hope that makes sense, because the upper back stability is what gives you the permission to bench press big weights. Yes, sir. All right. We'll go 2 repetitions. Nice and easy. Let's go. Easy peasy. Ooh. We'll load 150 on. We'll do another myth. So we've got 2 more. Plus I'll probably chuck in a bonus round as well because I'm a nice guy and that's what I do. We'll chat in a sec. All right, baby, myth number 4. High repetition bench pressing won't make you stronger. That's a myth, of course. You will get stronger doing high repetition bench pressing. Now, the reason you're gonna get stronger with high reps, a couple reasons. First one is high repetitions can usually lead to more muscle gains. Now, I'm not saying you can't make muscular gains with doing heavy low rep work, but it's not really practical to put on size doing heavy singles, doubles, and triples all the time, right? We need to work through multiple rep ranges to get maximum benefits. So yes, it's very important if you want a big bench press that we do bench press heavy or relatively heavy, all right? Now, it's equally as important that we do our higher volume, lower intensity repetition work, okay? Now, not just because we need to have volume for the sake of volume. High repetition bench press work generally means that we're going to be using a lighter weight. When we use a lighter weight, we can be more precise. Okay, now when we build better precision with our bench pressing technique, that does directly carry over to a bigger bench press. Now, high repetition bench press work again will put muscle on. So building more muscle will allow you to potentially have a bigger bench press. So there are benefits to doing high repetition work with your bench. Now, not only that, right, just from a basic common sense perspective, if you can increase your 15 rep max, you should be able to increase your 12 rep max, your 10 rep max, your 8 rep, 6 rep, 5 rep, 3 rep, 2 rep, fucking 1 rep max, all right? Theoretically. Now I say theoretically because that would still mean you need to uphold a certain level of technique. Okay, some people are really good with high repetition work, but their max loads aren't a lot heavier, okay, because they can't maintain good position and good technique under that more heavy, challenging loads. So, provided you have sound technique, provided you're working on that with your light bench press, with your heavy bench press, then yes, doing high repetition work will help you bench press more weight, okay? It just will. We need to utilize lower reps, heavier weights, and we need to utilize lighter weights for more reps. I think I said that correctly. I don't remember, but I know it's close. You know what I'm saying, right? You just got to use your brains, gang, you know? Everyone's like, that won't work and this won't work and you should just do this and you should just do that. At the end of the day, the answer is generally in between. You should do both. You know what I'm saying? That's what I did. That's what a lot of the strongest people in the world did. That's how you get strong. I'm gonna get ready for this set now. 8 to 10 reps, 8 to 10 reps. We'll see how we go, but I need to get a handout from my beautiful assistant. We're gonna hit this now, and we've got 1 more myth, plus a bonus one, after this set. Let's go. Yeah, buddy. Whoo! Let's go! All right, baby. Now, before we do the next working set, we got myth number 5. Now, and that is, you don't need to train your back for a big bench press. And I call absolute bullshit on that, baby. That is a load of nonsense. Now, why is our back so important for the bench press? And I've been speaking about it for most of the fucking session. And I speak about it almost every fucking day because I have to, because some people still don't get it. And it makes me angry. It doesn't make me angry really, but I want to talk about it again so you'll finally get it. Now, the muscles that control the scapular retraction and depression that I always talk about with the bench press, right? The upper back muscles. And if they're not strong, what do you think happens when you're trying to pull them together and down and you've got 200 kilos, 220 kilos plus, even 140 kilos, right? Just think about it. You've got 3 plates, 4 plates, 5 plates stacked on top of the bar, coming down on you, and you're trying to squeeze them together. If you're not strong in your muscles in your upper back, boom, flattened out straight into protraction, no stability of the shoulder. What happens? Well, often we see big pec injuries, plus you miss the fucking lift, which sucks as well. So, to paint the picture even clearer for you, we train the back almost like a reverse bench press, right? Now this is my one favorite exercise for training the back muscles for the bench press. I do it on a lat pull down, I talk about it all the time, except it's more of a high row. I lean back, I flare my elbows a little, all right, just to get them to my side, but I'm not flaring them, you know, like this. This looks like a bench press position almost, right, on our chest. Pulling my shoulder blades back and down. Okay, so training the back is very important if you want a big bench press. We need the muscles that control this to be super strong for the stability. So you have the permission to bench big because you need stability for permission to be strong, baby. You don't need its permission, but good luck being strong without stability. I like to think of it as you got a race car and it's juiced up, baby. It's juiced up. You know what I mean? And you want to go fast, but then your tires suck. You're just spinning them. You're all that power. But they're just spinning. You're going fucking nowhere, right? Same thing. I'm a little bit crazy, some would say, and I would agree. But crazy people are generally pretty smart, and I'm pretty smart anyway. Second set, we'll go 8 reps here, even though I expect it to be easy, but I want to have a bit of fun on the third set. So we'll go ham on the third set, and I'll drop you a bonus myth busting fact for that one. That's probably my favorite one so far. I'm going to do this. Come on. Easy. You. That was very comfortable. I think we'll go another set of 8 for the third set. I might increase the weight this week because that feels very light, which is a good thing. Let's go. All right, gang, slapping another 10 kilos on 160 kilos. Now, the best I've done with this weight post-surgery, keeping in mind I just had my bicep reattached 4.5 months ago, around that, nearly 5 months ago. So I've been building my way back up, but the most I've done post-surgery is 160 for 8. So the goal for me today would be to beat that ideally. So we'll see how we go, but I'm feeling pretty good. Now, the last myth that I want to bust for you, and that is that women care about your bench press. Son, they don't. All right, now don't get me wrong. Women want a big, burly, strong man, but they don't care about your 3-plate, 4-plate, 5-plate, 6-plate bench. They don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? I'll tell you who cares though, I care. Tell you who else cares? Your gym bro. And all the other bros at the gym, they care about your 3-plate, 4-plate bench press, and they would touch your chest over it, no doubt. And that's love. That's real love, and that's what you need more of that positivity. So make sure that you're not bench pressing for girls, because you're going to end up with guys. But if you like guys, then by all means, bench press more. I like to bench press and I don't like guys, but you know, a bit of attention never fucking hurt, you know what I mean? Makes you feel pretty good about yourself. They're like, oh, your heap's hot, bro. I'm like, thanks, man. I really appreciate that. And then they say, I touch you, and I say, well, no, because that's a bit gay. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm just a prude. Anyway, 160, I'm gonna get ready for this now, and we're gonna smoke it. Let's go. how we do it, gang. All right, baby, there is 12 reps at 160 kilograms to finish the bench pressing for my session. I'm really happy with that. That was more than I was expecting. Happy, happy boy. Now, if you're serious about your training, you're serious about the results you get for the time you put in, then you should be coached by me. So if you're interested in being coached by yours truly, the one with all of the knowledge and the keys to the kingdom, which I do share for you completely free here, by the way, but sometimes the trick is applying it and integrating it with your own training, with yourself. That can be difficult, and that is where I come in. You get a customized program, we get to chat on a frequent basis where I give you feedback and critique, and of course there's options where I can help you with nutrition and supplementation, if you know what I mean. But I hope you enjoyed this. There is 5 myths busted all over. I busted all over them, and I busted on a bonus one as well. I busted all over it. They're all busted everywhere. But, you know, reality is, it's not that fucking complicated, is it? Most of the roads lead back to scapular retraction and depression as being probably one of the main components of having a big bench press. If you have good scapular retraction depression, you have a strong upper back, you have strong muscles in your upper body, you're gonna have a pretty good bench press, right? It's not as complicated as people may think. There's no crazy secret magic trick or anything like that. I share it all with you. It's not hidden, it's out there. All you're gonna do is apply it. But anyway, hope you enjoyed this. Now, I am about to hit 100,000 followers on Instagram today. It's about to tick over. And I'm gonna be doing a sale on my programs, my one-off programs, and a giveaway of some sort. Haven't decided yet. I probably should because it starts tonight. But head to my Instagram, Cult Strength Puppy, with underscores, and puppy is in P-A-P-I, not like a puppy dog. Like, who's your puppy? Not your puppy dog. That make sense? Makes sense, hey babe. Anyway, I'm gonna get laid now. It's awesome. Have a good day, guys. I'll see you next time.